The last thing you want to do is put a ton of time and effort into building an online course only to have no one buy it. Worst nightmare, right? So if you're sitting there thinking, no one's gonna buy this thing, this is a stupid idea, I'm stupid, people are gonna hate it, people are gonna hate me, and you're going down a total rabbit hole, you're in the right place. I'm gonna show you 4 steps to validate your online course idea before you even build it or sell it. And this is my fair warning to you. If you don't do this, no one will buy your course and you will hear the dreaded crickets. And if you're serious about this, I highly recommend going to the link in the description below to download my free guide on the 10 steps to scale your skill set and 10x your impact without trading time for money. Go grab that right now and then, of course, come back to the video. So let's break down the concept and then I'm going to share the 4 steps. And later in the video, I'm going to share how a chef and a gardener use this to validate their course idea and sell their programs. So these 4 steps today are part of that process and getting your prototype version of your program to market, selling it, getting real clients in the door, getting social proof as quickly as possible. Now, if you're sitting there going, I don't even know what the course topic should be, I have a whole other video that I just recently created on that, on how to pick a profitable course topic. You can check that out in the description below. So the 4 steps we're gonna dig into today. Number 1 is internal validation. Number 2 is external validation. And number 3 is data-based validation. Number 4, most importantly, human validation. Number 1, internal validation. You can't teach what you don't know or haven't experienced. The biggest problem with creating a business of any kind, but particularly an education business, is people will often look at what others are doing and try and copy that model of success. And that is only going to take you so far. And it's really not a sustainable way to build a business that's built to last. So one of the most important things to understand is a concept of a blue ocean strategy. Now, what happens when you look at what other people are doing and try and copycat what's already out there and be part of the competition is you enter into what's known as a red ocean. So let me break down what these 2 things mean. So this concept is from a great book I've referenced before called Blue Ocean Strategy: How to Create Uncontested Market Space and Make the Competition Irrelevant by W. Chan Kim and Renee Moborg. So when you're in a red ocean, you're competing in existing market space, meaning there's tons of competition already. You are trying to beat the competition and you're trying to exploit existing demand. When you're in a blue ocean, you are creating uncontested market space. You're entering into a whole new market space where there is no competition because it's so solely related on your experience, your own unique take, and your own unique genius. And you make the competition irrelevant and create and capture new demand. This is why I harp on going internal first and not just skipping ahead, which is what most people do, to the external validation. So by going internally, you're going to identify a unique angle and take that is completely unique to you that you can use to teach whatever it is that you want to have an impact on others with. So in order to validate a need for your course, first and foremost, you need to have experience with it yourself. So here are a few quick prompts to help you internally validate a course idea. A challenge or hurdle you've overcome, how you've transformed a part of yourself, your life, or your business, or done the same for other people. What do people most often ask you for help with? If you could stop people from making the same mistakes and going through the same frustrations and struggle you did, what would that be? That question is so good. So I want you right now to pause this video, think about that for a second, and comment below with the answer to that question. Next question, who are your favorite clients? If you worked with clients, it's okay if you haven't. And what were their most amazing transformative results? And what methods or strategies do you find yourself repeating often? There are big clues in duplication and repeating things over and over again. That right there is a key clue about what your curriculum could possibly be. The next part of internal validation is keeping things outcome focused, because people are not buying the information you're selling. They can get information for free on the internet. They're buying the outcome of what it is that you're selling with your program. So what is the outcome they're going to achieve, the transformation they're going to achieve? So we call this your transformation statement. It's also known as a unique selling proposition. So you want to fill in these blanks. I help blank go from blank to blank so that they can blank. Or I went from blank to blank so that I could blank. That's gonna help you identify why, the big why behind what you do, why you do it, and ultimately how it's going to impact people, because impact is everything, especially when you're creating an education business. Step number 2 is external validation, otherwise known as proof of concept. Repeat after me. You can even comment below with this. Competition is a good thing. Okay, I know we talked about blue versus red ocean strategy earlier, and you're probably thinking, but there should be no competition if I do this the right way. Technically, yes and no. What I mean by that is that you want to see that there is demand for whatever it is that you ultimately want to teach people, that there are people seeking out that kind of support, that help, that transformation, because that shows you and that leaves success clues that there's a need for what you do. If there is no need at all, and nobody out there doing anything remotely similar, it oftentimes is a red flag. What is unique and what makes the competition irrelevant is taking a unique angle with it because of your own unique experience that no one else in the world has. Let me know if that makes sense. So if you do this right, you're going to identify demand for what you do, and also, because you're using a unique angle based on your unique experience, you're gonna eliminate competition. So the first thing you're gonna do for external validation is see what else is out there. So for example, I work with a fertility doctor and he's incredible at what he does. So in order to start validating his program idea, he would wanna start looking in places like best-selling books on Amazon and digging into the reviews of those books to see what's helpful and not helpful for people. Other online courses in the market, you can look at things like Skillshare or Udemy to see if there's anything remotely out there like this. Popular blogs and forums on these topics, popular influencers in this space that have followings that would match who your ideal client is. If there are in-person conferences, workshops, etc., or there are networking groups on places like meetup.com, or even coaches or consultants who are already working in this space. And finally, looking at things like podcasts or YouTube channels that talk about this topic and seeing if there are quality comments. It's not necessarily about the size of the audience, but is there an engaged audience? That is a huge clue for you. Now, if you're sitting there going, there is no competition at all, isn't that a red flag? Here's the thing. You have to consider what you want to teach and think about the category that it's under. So you want to think about it as a 6 degrees of separation situation. So for example, when it comes to the fertility space and this fertility doctor, maybe you're not going to start by looking at the exact thing that this person teaches. So, getting pregnant naturally without the use of IVF. That is a very narrow focus, and ultimately you're going to get to a narrow focus because that's what you can uniquely teach. But in the beginning, in order to identify market demand, you want to start broad. So things like and categories like getting pregnant, fertility, treatments and options, naturopaths that are out there talking about this, other doctors that are out there talking about this, all of the things that I just mentioned. So start a little bit broad to identify category demand instead of trying to focus so narrowly on the very unique thing that you teach. Because remember, that is the piece that's going to help you eliminate competition. Number 3, data-based validation. Now, this is really important. Numbers are helpful and they support, but numbers are not everything. That's why I made this the 3rd step, because if you go straight to this step, it may feel like it's a bit of a deterrent for you. So just remember that you want to first and foremost internally validate and then externally find proof of concept and demand in the market. And then you can look at the things like the numbers to show you that there's data to back this up. So a really simple place to start to identify demand is you can use Google's keyword planner. You can go on there and search specific topics. And also another really easy tool that I absolutely love is I will use something called Keywords Everywhere on YouTube, and I will identify, okay, what are the numbers looking like when I search a specific topic? Is there demand for that topic? And it will actually show you how much volume is behind that topic. And that shows you, are people actively looking for this? And remember, the broader the category, the more volume there's going to be. But as you narrow your focus, the less volume there's gonna be. That doesn't mean that it's not a viable topic. It just means that there is demand for the category. You're just essentially creating and carving out a new market space within that category. So prime example of this is, let's just say I went onto YouTube and I looked up the topic weight loss. Huge topic, so much demand for this. But that's not something you'd want to create a course on because it's so broad. You don't know who you're serving, how you're serving them, or what the impact's ultimately going to be. That's when you can go, okay, there's a ton of demand for this. Now what's my unique angle? So for example, I have a client who found her angle with this because of her own story. She was like, yeah, I work in the weight loss space, but it's not really been something that's been super successful. So she realized, well, my biggest tipping point for myself was when I had a baby and I was postpartum and I just could not figure out how to lose the baby weight. So weight loss for postpartum moms narrows the focus and helps prove and validate that program offer that helps you identify your unique take and carve out that market space. Now, the fourth piece of validation, which is hands down the most important aspect of this, and you want to do all of them for sure, but this one you can't miss. It's human validation. If you don't really find out if there are people out there who truly need what you have, it's going to be tough to actually sell your program. So this is a key piece. So I mentioned earlier that there was a chef and a gardener that used this process. They're both clients of mine and they were able to sell their programs with great success. So I wanted to just share those quick examples with you. Number one, Jordan uses gardening to help people with their mental health, which is a really cool, again, unique angle he's taken with his program. He's pre-sold 8 of the 10 spots by really validating this with real human beings, and he had such high demand, 281 people expressed interest in working with him. One of the things that he mentioned worked so well was part of this human validation process. He joined every gardening Facebook group in Canada and answered their questions, added value, and that allowed him to build a targeted network of people that were super pumped when he actually had something to offer. The next example is Jared, who helps executive chefs become leaders in the hospitality industry, and his results are quite remarkable. So he launched his program, he pre-sold his program, and he enrolled 17 chefs into his program and generated $66,000. So we have a process that we walk our clients through in essentially creating 50 real human being interviews where they actually speak to people via Zoom and interview them about what they truly need in a program. And it's purely research-based. It's not about selling, but it allows you to build a really, really hyper-targeted market without having an audience on social media or anything else. Now, a really good question came in my comments on another video recently from Russell T. Recommends. He asked, very good stuff, but I have a question. I'm all for interviewing people, but maybe I missed it. Where do you get the people to interview? So we call these ICA interviews, ideal client interviews, and the recommendation is to do 50 of them. Now, this can go very smoothly when you get a clear handle on who you're trying to target and when you get super specific, which by this point, you're already sort of validating the direction you're going in. So now you know who you need to speak to. So where do you actually find these folks? Here are a couple of ways that our clients are able to do it. First and foremost, you can start with your existing network. So asking current clients or customers or people in your friends, family, relationship circles, and getting their input if they are a match for what it is that you're going to serve people with. And a really good clue if you do have current or past clients, and it's not necessary to create a program, but if you do, think about your most successful clients because, again, that's a huge clue. How did you help them specifically? And that very well could be the program and the curriculum you create for more of those ideal clients that you just would love to duplicate. Now, the other places you can find these folks were actually mentioned earlier in the video. By identifying popular podcasts or YouTube channels or influencers or blogs or going on places like Meetup or even Amazon, you are going to find people who are engaging in this space and are looking for the help that you're going to be providing. So by connecting with these people and friending them, following them, commenting on their posts, answering their questions, providing value to them. Facebook groups, as I mentioned earlier, are a great tool and resource. There are forums out there. Your people are out there waiting. And if you can just start searching in the category that you want to serve, you're going to find this community. And from there, it's your job to not be the cool kid at the party and wait back and sit back and hope clients come to you. Your job is to start creating value, sharing how you can help, sharing tips and tricks and tutorials, and sharing your knowledge to start positioning yourself as an authority and to start really serving people, because by serving people and helping people creates reciprocity and relationships. And then those folks become the people that you can then interview to identify how you can best support them. That's how you find interviews. So from there, one of the most important questions that you can ask is, what are you most challenged by, frustrated by, or struggling with when it comes to blank? So a few real examples from our program. What are you most struggling with when it comes to breastfeeding in the first year? What are you most struggling with when it comes to up-leveling your tennis game? What are you most struggling with when it comes to dancing in public? Those are all programs that have been created in our program, the Authority Accelerator, and that's a really good starting place to identify what are the pain points of your ideal client. In order to serve at the highest level, you need to know what is the pain point they're dealing with now and what is the outcome that they ultimately want to achieve by taking a program like yours. That's how you create a curriculum that's really impactful, really helpful, creates great client results, and ultimately can scale. Some other questions that you can ask when you actually do speak to these people are, what is the number one thing that you wish you could learn to overcome this hurdle or this challenge? And the other great question to keep it outcome focused, because people are ultimately buying into the transformation you can provide to them and the outcome you can provide with your program, is, if you were to learn how to solve this, what would the ideal outcome be for you? What would you want to achieve at the end of it? And that's going to allow people to share with you on an emotional level and also on a tactical level what they really, really want out of a program and what they're really seeking in terms of help. And this is something that you can get super creative with. So for our clients, we have a whole library inside of our program, and we call it the ICA Outreach Library. And it's all of these examples that have worked really well for our clients to find the best people to speak to do these research interviews, to create essentially a list of clients who are so excited to work with them. Now, these 4 steps have now allowed you to validate your course. How exciting! So you know when you go to sell this thing, it's actually going to sell, and you've built a foundation for a business that is actually built to last. It's not just a flash in the pan. It's not just a one and done situation. It's going to last and continue to get clients in the door and make a big impact. If that is exciting to you, let me know in the comments, because it's exciting to me. It's really the key to building a super strong business that can grow for the rest of time. So from here, what you do is you essentially create that prototype, because now you have the information you need to create a curriculum and to create a minimum version of your program to sell to people that is going to create that impact that you're seeking to create. And I have a whole video on how to do just that, and I'm going to share that with you in just a second. But this is really just the tip of the iceberg. If you're serious about doing this, we've helped so many people create their programs in so many unique niches. And we have clients that are doing all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month consistently with their online programs, without massive audiences, without posting all of the time, but just by being super strategic, intentional, and working with the right people. So if that's of interest, be sure to grab that free guide. You got nothing to lose on the 10 steps to scale your skill set and 10x your impact without trading time for money. You can grab it in the link below. And like I said, the next step from what we just discussed is actually creating that prototype. So you can check out this video next on exactly how to do just that. Thank you so much for watching. You have an important message to share. You have an impact to make. So what are you waiting for? I hope this was helpful. Can't wait to read your comments. They're my love language, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.